You're trying to say that entitlements, I'm not entitled to my entitlements.
No,
I am entitled to my entitlements.
Well, soldiers are entitled to their entitlements as well, are they not? The idea is that a soldier doesn't live where the soldier wants to live. You live on the base they send you to. You go to Afghanistan. You go where you are sent. But the agreement is that once you're done, you get your final move to where you choose to live, and the taxpayers will make that final move. Now, the Conservative government has brought up the issue, as you would have seen B reporting a moment ago, of one general spending over $70,000 in order to move from one address in Ottawa to another address in Ottawa. Is that an outrageous sum? Joining me now, the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Defence, James Bezan. Welcome.
Thanks, Jerry.
Isn't this the agreement we made with the general when he signed up?
Look, the program was put in place to help military families move across this country, especially upon retirement, that are often posted at bases, fairly remote locations. What we have here is a general who decided to move from one grand house worth over $1 million in Rockcliffe Park, one of the poshest neighborhoods in Ottawa, and move 3 or 4 blocks away. This doesn't pass the smell test. The amount of money that is being charged here to the taxpayer is excessive. Definitely, Mr. Leslie showed a complete lack of respect for the taxpayer, a complete lack of respect to the soldiers who this program is entitled to and are supposed to benefit from. And really, it's a lack of judgment upon his part, and speaks largely to the Liberal Party itself for defending him for going ahead and charging this back to the taxpayer. The amount of money we're talking here, $72,000, is more money than what usually costs to move a family from the Esquimalt in Victoria, from off the base there, and moving them back into Ontario. We move entire families for less money than that, and so this is excessive and something that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, of course, the move was only part of it. Real estate fees were another part of it, and as you've pointed out, they were expensive homes, and that's how it got to $72,000. Now, you realize there are quite a number of people who are saying that your government has decided to make the poster boy out of the general here because he went to work for Justin Trudeau.
Not at all. This is an abuse of a program, and even Mr. Leslie, when he wrote the transformation report, said we need to have less bureaucracy, less dollars that aren't benefiting the front lines, and we need to have more teeth and less tail. So it's quite hypocritical now to charge the taxpayers $72,000 and then go out and defend it. And you made the point, a lot of this is in realtor fees. I know that when I sell a property or buy a property, and any other Canadian across this country, those realtor fees are paid for by the buyer and or the seller. And so in this case, the taxpayer's on the hook for realtor fees that actually goes directly into the pocket of Mr. Leslie.
All right, but it's up to your department, is it not, to fix this, as opposed to maybe pick one guy and make an issue out of him?
Where the policy as generally is being used wisely and being used respectfully by people that are leaving the armed forces, as well as those that are in transition and getting transferred back and forth across this country in their service to Canada. So we don't have a big problem with the policy. What we need to see is how this approval process went through. General Leslie definitely knew what the limitations of the program was, and he maximized it to his own personal benefit. That's what is at issue here, is that it was an abuse of his position, it was an abuse of taxpayers' money, and a complete lack of judgment by Mr. Leslie.
Well, did he do anything illegal?
That's what we're going to investigate and look at, but it doesn't pass the smell test. It doesn't pass the smell test with Canadians from coast to coast to coast, and it just speaks to the larger ones. And you played a great clip coming into the interview right now of David Dingwall. Their liberal culture is they're entitled to their entitlements, and that doesn't make it right.
All right, what are you going to do about it?
Well, once we have finished asking all the questions of the department, I would expect that if there is something that we see as being completely untowards done by Mr. Leslie, that he should step up and do the right thing and pay some of these monies back.
All right, but going forward, I mean, are you prepared then to change the requirements such that people could be within what they are due, and we want to treat soldiers correctly and not have another situation like this bubble up where people are complaining about what the soldier was given?
we've got to remember what this program is meant to do, is to help military families relocate back to where they want to call a place home, whether it's while they're in service or whether they're retiring from service. And it's meant to be used for moving, from bases that are spread out across this country back to where their own home community was or where they wanted to call home. In this case, Mr. Leslie was in the same community, in the same posh neighborhood of Rockcliffe Park. So it doesn't just make it sound like he's taken advantage of a program to help with his transition by moving from one great house to another great house, but essentially what he's done here is left the taxpayer on the hook for him to decide to change his living accommodations within the same neighborhood. And that in itself just doesn't pass the mustard.
James Bezan, thanks so much.
Anytime. Thanks, Jerry.
John Robson has been with us and listening. How do you react to this, John?
Well, I know it's important for the Tories to